it is.
Hey guys, this is WTii, and this is the map Twilight Ruins on Warcraft 3 4 versus 4 RT. Now this is a replay, and the reason why this is a replay is because it's a game that I played on Gugu. And of course, Gugu is the character that's so high level it takes hours to find a game. So I don't tend to wear my headset when I'm playing with Gugu, which is the reason why I didn't get recorded. I've explained it previously, but in honor of looking for Gugu, I shall be commentating this replay because the guy has a level 30 account. And this is the first time that I'm aware of that I've gotten a game with this guy, and that's a pretty high level account, and he's been very unlucky because of course I've played a lot of games and I've not been in one game with him. So he was obviously quite happy when he managed to find me in his game, and his search was over. But we're going to skip ahead a little bit because what I've actually got is my map hack detector program on, and I can't watch the whole replay with it on, unfortunately, because I've already previously tested it, and with some replays, when you're using this map hack detector thing, it crashes the replay. But it kind of crashes at any point. It could be 6 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 12, whatever it is. And in this one, it's 6 minutes-ish. But there is enough time to get a vital bit of evidence on a certain map hacker, and the reason why I'm really showing you this is because it's kind of key to a lot of the humor in the later parts of the game, because one of the players on the enemy team, probably the guy I'm looking at right now, this guy called Fear of Forgotten, he gets a little frustrated, you know, he's not too happy because he's being map hacked the entire time in this game. The enemy are just abusing map hack. Whoa, how dare they? How dare they? Well, let's take a little look and see, you know, just who the actual map hacker is. And there's more than one in this game, I know that much. But, unfortunately, the replay doesn't go on long enough for me to get enough clicks. But that's about far enough. Now, let's just pause it a second. Pause it a second, alright. So, take the fog of war off. This is what map hack looks like. You can see everything. And you can see much more than that. You can, if you click on buildings, etc., you can see the amount of resources the enemy have. You have basically everything that you need to cheat as hard as possible. So as you can see, clicking the fog of war back on, they have not scouted at all from the enemy team. This is just simply the little blight bits just show from a replay. But as you can see, there have been no scout paths from any wisps, peons, peasants, acolytes. Nothing has scouted whatsoever. And we're looking at this base over here. Nothing's building here yet, but watch what happens, okay? So we got the fog of war on. It's currently on at the moment. Get ready for it. Any second now. Any second. Oh, what's that? Fear of Forgotten. I've clicked, paused the replay. Fear of Forgotten, clicked Hunter's Hall. Player Fear of Forgotten selected Hunter's Hall on easy to beat. And easy to beat is yellow. Who is this guy who's building a Hunter's Hall? But hang on a second, if we go back to Fear of Forgotten's view, oh, you can't see a thing. I wonder how he managed to click something that he can't see. So, yes, that's the main purpose of this replay so far. Well, the main purpose of this replay is for the good old guy looking for Gugu. But we're going to look at it from his point of view quite a lot of the game, because this was a large 2 versus 2 style of play. Because it's a 4 versus 4, but there was big 2 versus 2 battles going on either side of the map. And, yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm going to try and cover the whole of the game, but mostly looking for Gugu, since it seems only fair to do so. Because this might be his only chance of getting a game with me. So, yeah, that's about as far as we're going to go into this replay. So I'm going to stop the recording now and then restart it again without the map hack detector program, because otherwise it's just going to crash anyway. So back in a moment. Oh hi, we're back and we're restarting the replay, and this time we're going to have a little look and see what everyone's got, what they're trying to do in this game. So we start off with me, the pink orc. Says a lot about me, I suppose. So obviously you can read the chat as we go along whilst I'm commentating. So looking for Gugu, and then look who that is. That's Gugu, that's me. So I'm going for the Tauren Chieftain, Headhunter, Shaman, Kodo build. And you don't always have to do that. If you think the game's going well for you, you could just flat out go straight for Beastries and just mass Wyverns like a noob and have a good time. But I do a fair bit of what I actually say I'm going to do, which is kind of rare for me. So that's what I'm doing. This guy over here, he's called Looking for Gugu. And he's the undead player on our team. Well, one of them. It's always good to have a couple. Why not? Why have just one? So he's going to be going Fiends. We've got our fella over here. Klek Kata. That's the only way you can probably say his name. And he's also undead going Fiends. And if we go to the top left on my team, is easy to beat. Luckily he wasn't. And he's the Night Elf guy at the top. So it's a bit vulnerable having a Night Elf on your team. It's always good to have a human. We didn't have a human. And he's going to do one of these things called Scouting, which is something that most map hackers don't do, or they might still do if they're sort of, you know, want to be a little bit sly and make you think they're not map hacking. So he's got his little wisp here. He's not doing a full out scout, but he's having it out so he can see when he's going to get harassed, which is always a very good move. As you can see, this is his vision, so if anything comes by to his base, he's pretty much got a little bit of a head start in knowing what's going down. Now let's go down to the bottom. We've got Napoleon, who's an undead guy. I believe he is a map hack. I'm pretty sure I have replay proof of it, but I can't confirm. Well, I can confirm. It's just there's so many map hackers I can't remember them all. But whenever I see this guy, I'm always very suspicious. So I'm pretty sure he is. I've not really seen Hoper 67 before, so no idea if he is. He's Night Elf. Altar Archers to begin with. We got Mirage, our blue orc, who looks like he's fast teching, but he actually isn't. He's going to build a couple of not beastries, barracks, and spam out some grunts a bit later on. So that's that orc. And over here we've got Fear of Forgotten, who's gone Tauren Chieftain and grunt, and not much more other than that. And Fear of Forgotten's scouting with his Princess of the Moon, just doing a little bit of annoying harass, which is very effective, to be honest. Myself up at the top here, I am just purely going to concentrate on creeping as hard as possible. That's pretty much what I want to do in this game. I don't want to mess around. I just want to get this Tauren Chieftain high level and have fun with that, and also try to get myself an expansion at some point. Looking for Gugu is now on his way to doing a little bit of creeping by the looks of it. Here we go. I'm not sure how he managed to upset those unless they healed back the damage. Because what it looked like is he might have aggroed them to try and pull them back so that he can creep them a bit quicker, but none of them had any damage taken, so that was weird. I didn't quite catch what happened there, but either way, he's doing his creeping. Klakata, our green undead down here, is actually clearing his expansion spot first, which is, you know, easy to do, to be quite frank, because it's one of the easiest expansion spots in most 4 versus 4s. The other people that are also doing an expansion would be myself soon, getting into position. We've got Hoper 67, who's already put down his Tree of Life and he's getting that secured. He's just making sure he can clear the creeps, and then he's probably going to deal with Easy to Beat, who's being a bit of a bitch at the moment and annoyingly harassing his archers whilst he's trying to creep that off. Tinker's a bit of a brave hero choice as well. We've got Mirage up here, who's had what looks like a very awkward time trying to clear this creep camp. He's just about managed to keep that Great Hall going, and luckily Fear of Forgotten is here to help him out. But Fear of Forgotten isn't going to have an expansion, neither is Easy to Beat. I'm already starting to put down a tower, which is always very crucial. You want to make sure you got a tower, because I can remember what happens in the game a little bit later, and I'll show you in a brief while. We got Gugu, looking for Gugu, doing some more creeping. Always good to try and move into the orange spots whenever you can. Generally, a lot of the creeps on this map are pretty damn easy, apart from the ones in the middle. These fellas here. Unless you can kill them quickly, specifically this guy. He's a lot harder than he looks, and he throws out death coil all the time, so he's an absolute pain in the butt. Now we've got Green, the undead on my team, moving out to do some harass against a possible expansion, and luckily for him, he has Fiends as well as Easy to Beat is there, giving the aura, and yeah, it's not too good for the ghouls, to be honest, because ghouls can get picked off very easily unless they're in ridiculous numbers. Ah, but Hoper 67's coming from behind to help him out. Napoleon probably needed to hang back a little bit longer until he could feel a proper 2 versus 2 battle rather than doing 1 versus 2 for a short while. Now we look back to my base. I don't think we're going to catch it actually, but one of the players, it's probably Fear of Forgotten or Mirage, when they crept this spot, they used that and used Reveal on the only expansion that's currently going down on my team. Now that could be luck, and it makes sense if you're here to probably do a base like in the middle-ish of a 4 versus 4 team, which is much more likely to try and secure an expansion. But it was kind of funny that I'm the only one with an expansion on my team, yet there was a reveal that went down. I can guarantee you that happened. But luckily for me, when the reveal goes down, although some of them are map hacking, they can see anyway, the tower's already there, the burrow's already there. That makes it a lot less desirable to try and bring yourself up to there and then try to destroy the Great Hall when you already know there's a little bit of defense, and I'm going to be nearby creeping up this spot. So let's go back to the action down here. Looking for Gugu. You can see on the minimap it's currently creeping away. Fear of Forgotten's come down here with Mirage, so that's basically a 4-player situation there. So obviously get back out of that. So that didn't go too bad for my team. It could have gone worse. Considering there's 4 people there, that's pretty effective really. You've got 4 people on the enemy team all condensed in one spot, not really doing much other than trying to hold off a little bit of harass. So looking for Gugu is looking to expand. Ring of Protection +2, unlucky for you. And he's taking up. He's almost tier 2. We've got our other undead player who's almost tier 2 as well. It's come along nicely, securing an expansion now. Fear of Forgotten's going for a risky creep spot over here, and this is probably when the yelling's going to begin. He just starts this creep camp and then goes, well played map hack. But that's the weirdest thing. I don't know why he did that. It's like one of those suspicious things. It's like, oh, does he map hack? Maybe he doesn't map hack because he made such a stupid move. But he clearly clicked on something he can't even see, which is impossible to do. So, and not to mention that that's not the only proof I have of him map hacking. I have several replays of him clicking stuff that he can't see. So it's not just a one-off, oh, maybe it's a bug with the program. He's done it a lot. So I'm aware of him. But yeah, you can read the chat. Already he's starting to get proper aggro. Now these two guys, working together very nicely. Kakata and looking for Gugu, creeping a nice spot. Healing wards, very, very good item, especially when you've got mass fiends and you want to siege an enemy base. Not sure why no one wanted that. And easy to beat. He's decided to run back because he hasn't really got much other than archers and these Priestess of the Moon running about. Mirage doing a little bit of harass. Now this is probably a bit over the top from myself, but I wasn't sure whether Fear of Forgotten was there as well, making his way up. From my point of view over here, I could see a few units moving up, so I thought that was going to be like a 2-player thing. So I TP'd up there to try and get a shock position and maybe get a decent sort of wall stomp down. And I can get a nice-ish one in a moment. Just got to get yourself into position and then slam that war stomp down. But I got a bit carried away with my headhunters. Need to pull a couple of those back that are slightly weak. Don't want them being picked off too easily. And then Blue's forced to run back a bit more because it's still 2 versus 1. But Fear of Forgotten comes in. Meanwhile, going back down to the bottom, we've got these two fellas with mass fiends and 2 death knights. Very vicious indeed. Napoleon's got a mixture of ghouls and fiends. Now, no, the healing ward is being used. It's picked off pretty quickly, but it's still got a little bit of healing done. Archers aren't much use at this point. They got good damage, but they're very, very vulnerable, especially when they're mixed amongst the enemy forces. That's a nice Howl of Terror, though. It's affecting pretty much all of Kaklakta's and looking for Gugu's fiends. Back to the top here, we've got this little fight going on here. This isn't a really good fight for us, to be honest. I'm starting to get focused pretty damn heavily. Luckily, I've got a Potion of Greater Healing. Probably should have used Scroll of the Beast earlier, but I didn't know how dire the situation was until we started to get a little bit picked off, because they're quite vicious. They've got the Blade Master doing some good damage. We can't last forever. We've got a tech here going towards bears. It's already on Adept, but it's not quite there, whereas they're a bit more maxed out on their tier 1 stuff, whilst we're building up to tier 2. Back down here, we've got looking for Gugu, Kaklakta, moving in, picking off more ghouls, because this guy, Napoleon, clearly wants to go for mass frostworms or something. And he was in a good position, sort of a good position to do it. He's on the outside, but he's an undead, so it's not always bad. except for when 2 other undead team up inside of your base. Now this is a hell of a lot of damage that is going down. So these guys are really making this awkward for the enemy team. They're basically forcing this into, I mean, it's a 1 versus 2 situation at the moment. So no matter how well these guys on the enemy team are doing at the top here versus myself and easy to beat, even though we can sort of hold that off, we were in quite a bit of trouble. And I was waiting for my hero to come back. It's not the best situation to be. Headhunters haven't got the most amazing DPS, so they can't really rip through your base too quickly, but it's not a good spot to be in. Luckily, they were doing really well, looking for Gugu and Kakakta. So they forced the TP here. Not necessarily from fear of Forgotten. He simply TP'd back because he was about to lose his hero. Mirage is in the same situation, but he actually knew he was going to TP back into a better position, which is actually Napoleon's base rather than his own base on the west side, which is going to be no use to anyone. That way he can use his units here to try and help out Napoleon, who is not doing a very good job at the moment. We've got a huge amount of fiends here on the right hand side. Just look at the positioning, it's beautiful. They've hugging this right hand side. They got, oh, it's just so good. 2 upgrade on damage for looking for Gugu. None for Kakakta, but still the damage for all of those fiends is going to be pretty insane. A couple of cigarettes here upgraded is going to be pretty useful, and it's a good idea from Kakakta. That's going to be so hard to keep saying. To force the players to run back a little bit. Blade Master getting carried away, thinking he's a bit ahead of it, more ahead than he was. Mirage got a decent amount of headhunters, but they will probably get picked off in a moment, especially now the Lich is there, throwing down the Frost Nova, doing a little bit of AoE damage and also good single target damage as well. These fiends just going to rip through a hell of a lot here, and it looks like looking for Gugu has got himself an Orb of Corruption, which is going to increase the amount of damage that these fellas do whenever they're focusing anything in particular by quite a large amount by applying the minus armor debuff. Now it says -3 there only because he has Ring of Protection +2, otherwise it would normally be -5. So going back up here, there's been a bit of a skirmish. Whilst those guys are having their fight down there, there's kind of a constant skirmish between myself and Easy B along versus Fear of Forgotten, and pretty much just Fear of Forgotten. But Fear of Forgotten's actually got this sort of tech advantage at this point because he's gone straight to Tauren. Probably got fed a little bit as well, some resources, because he didn't get himself an expansion, he just made sure. So we got ourselves Fear of Forgotten constantly pushing forward. He's got the map hack, so he knows when it's safe to attack and when it's, you know, when it's bad to be there. So I encouraged us, because I didn't know he was going to come straight back, to look out for expansions. We checked this one out. There wasn't an expansion there. We did it the old-fashioned way, where you scout. You use the scouting path and you look for an expansion rather than knowing whether it's there or not by seeing it already. Now this was the awkward moment where we know that he's got a fairly decent army. He's at least got 1 Shaman for Bloodlust. Tauren are pretty much devastating at this point because we're not really kind of prepared for it. There's only 1 bear, lots of archers and lots of headhunters for myself. Not really the best match versus Tauren. I decided that since I'm here at this point, it's make or break. Whether it's the right decision or not, I'm going to kill Blue's economy and hope that Easy to Beat can sort of not die too hard versus Fear of Forgotten. So he's backed off a little bit because of the TP. He doesn't know exactly what's coming through, but now that he sees it's easy to beat, he moves straight back in, and that is quite easy to beat, that army right there. Now obviously I feel a bit bad at this point because I'm like, come on, kill this expansion ASAP so I can actually get up there and help Easy to Beat out. These peons are a bit of a nasty piece of work, so good old War Stomp will stop them from repairing. Finish that off, start TPing, and then try to get up there before Easy to Beat has lost everything. Can he save the Priestess of the Moon? Oh, just kind of about. Not the best position to TP into, but I kind of had to make a sort of a presence for myself. Lots of headhunters, demolishers, and a Kodo beast. It's okay, not the best versus Tauren, but I have enough of an army size to actually produce a bit of a threat here. Just have a little pause in the game. Back down here, Hoper67 decided to go for Mountain Giants, which actually, ironically, isn't that bad versus Fiends. But the way that looking for Gugu and Kakakta were playing it was they were playing the kiting game, where they were sort of keeping back, doing damage, keeping back, doing damage, trying to minimize the amount of damage they take whilst maximizing the damage they do. And this ended up being pretty effective against the Mountain Giants. If it's a situation where the Mountain Giants were attacking, the Fiends wouldn't be able to move so much, but because the Fiends have all this space to run around, those Mountain Giants aren't as useful as they might appear to be. So going back up to here, this is A beautiful time for my Tauren Chieftain to shine. Get a little bit of the old War Stomp down and send a couple of sort of headhunters on that one. Finish off the Tauren Chieftain and another one on that. So whilst I was doing that, I was pretty much splitting my units during that War Stomp to attack different targets, because you can waste a lot of damage by getting your entire army to just attack the one shaman when you could actually kill 3 units in that same time. So Blue's now forced to TP up here despite what's going on down here. Looking for Gugu and Kakakta, pretty much sealing the deal at the bottom here. It's an undead base, it's not easy to punish, and if it was a different base, they'd probably do a better job, to be honest, and they would have probably finished it off if it was like human or something like that. But because it's undead, you can only get away with so much. The Tinker Rockets are really effective there, to be quite frank, in this situation. And the only reason why it's getting a little bit tough now for these fellas, Kakakta and looking for Gugu, you've got to remember that they moved here and they've been fighting this war for about, I don't know, a good 6 minutes or something. They've still got pretty much the same themes. The only difference is they've got a couple of destroyers and maybe an obsidian statue. That's about it for tech-wise. But otherwise, they've still pretty much got the same sort of units. Whereas, obviously, Hoper 67's upgraded himself to Mountain Giants. Now going back up to the top here. Napoleon's decided to take a slightly risky move. I'm not sure what he was thinking. He's TPing up here to basically definitely force myself an easy to beat back so that we can't fight a 2 versus 3. But it does still leave him a little vulnerable. I guess he thought that Hoper 67 can hold it, and he was correct in that move, but it now leaves him in a bad position where he has to go ahead and spend 350 gold on a TP to get back down to the bottom, which is probably going to get punished again by looking for Gugu and Kakakta. Now I'm taking the opportunity here to, I think, have a little time with the Zeppelin. Now this is kind of funny because as this was happening, I believe Frostworms were going past me, but I decided to ignore them for the most part because I just wanted to do as much damage as I could to an expansion, perhaps force a TP. The reason why I got the Zeppelin generally in this situation is so that I can pick up the Tauren Chieftain if anything happens bad. He's got an invisibility potion as it is and a TP, but I didn't want to push it anymore. I think I forced a TP. That's definitely the right move. TP out before I lose too much. Napoleon's now over here, whilst meanwhile in his base he's now getting attacked by Kakakta, and Mirage is now at the bottom here. So what's happened here is, what's really hurt the enemy team by the looks of it, is they're all over the shop. They're just TPing left, right and centre trying to defend, and this is costing them a lot overall, far more than they probably realise. So when you're being like controlled like this in 2 versus 2 scenarios, it's kind of inevitable that you will eventually go down. And we got looking for Gugu and Kakakta, just beastly sort of tier 2/tier 3 army, undead mass fiends, destroyers all over the shop, pumping out shite loads of damage. Tier 3 upgrade on that, bit of the old 1 upgrade for Kakakta, and those destroyers are going to do quite nicely against the casters. For Mirage, got to be a little bit careful with the DK, don't charge him in too heavily. And looks like looking for Gugu has spotted a few Frostworms, so that's pretty nice. Looks like he gets to pick a few off. That's pretty handy, and they're both teaming up here. Those Frostworms aren't going anywhere. Napoleon's just clearly had like the worst game of his life by the looks of it. Pretty much lost a hell of a lot of stuff for, you know, almost no reason whatsoever. This is actually a 2 versus 3 down here. You've got Napoleon, you've got Hoper 67, you've got Mirage. So meanwhile at the top we've got actually 2 of us and just 1 Fear of Forgotten, which looks like he's being beaten down enough that he can't really get a massive army, and he's still sitting at level 3 Tauren Chieftain, level 2 Shadow Hunter, whilst I've got myself a little level 6 Tauren Chieftain with the mana pot as well. He's just a beast. I want to throw down as many War Stomps as I can. We've got lots of bears, we've got illusions going down, we've got dryads, demolishers, upgrades, the Troll Berserkers, Shaman for Bloodlust. It's not going to go well for the enemy team at this point. Going back down here, we can clearly see Kakakta and looking for Gugu have pretty much taken the win at this undead base. Now, some people ask me why our undead base is supposed to be hard to beat. Well, this is pretty much it. These guys have been owning it down here. A lot of the time they've been fighting a 2 versus 3, and they still couldn't push that far into the undead base. Now, it's not like undead bases are, you know, god mode or anything like that. They are just very, very sort of strong. I don't really know how to put it, but it's a real pain in the butt to sort of siege them, or, you know, when you haven't got siege. And this is pretty damn close to siege. Even fiends are like, they could be mistaken for siege units because they're so damn good with their damage. It's still kind of difficult to really push into that base and push it over. And that's pretty much it. That's the game. Those guys got owned up here. These guys got owned down here. It was a 4 versus 4. 2 lots of 2 versus 2s, pretty much. Or should I say 2 versus 3s and 2 versus 1s at the top. I had a very easy game. And thanks to Looking for Gagoo, a little war stomp from me. For no particular reason other than because I can. This was the game that pushed me up into level 43, so I'm very grateful for that. It's always nice to get to level 43 because now I can lose as many games as I like and not get stressed about it, because it's the most annoying thing when you're like 1 win away from getting the next level and then you just keep losing. Whereas when you get the next level, you can lose some games and you're still that level, so you don't care. So it's good. It's all good. Needless to say, our team pretty much topped the scores very nicely. Clack, 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 clack. Looking for Gagoo. Then Gagoo. Easy to beat afterwards, and then these fellas down here with Fear Forgotten. Forgotten at the bottom. Oh my, he did not have the best game of his life. Kakakta, oh, so much undead imbalance going here. 7 hero kills, 3 hero kills. Level 6 Tauren Chieftain for myself. Almost a level 6 Priest of the Moon. It's a shame we didn't get to that point, because that could have made it just... that could have rubbed it in even more. But I hope you enjoyed that. This was a little, how do I say... tribute to Looking for Gagoo. He's made that account, he's obviously gone to some effort, and he's got the game. And because I'm not recording, obviously I would have put the video up and that would have been fine as a tribute in itself, but I knew that the video wasn't being recorded. I told him anyway, so I've gone back and I've recorded the replay, which I won't often do, but in this case I will do it. So, yep, big thank you for Looking for Gagoo and everyone else in that team, because all of them were very good players, and everyone on the enemy team had a horribly hard time, and a good couple of them deserved it, to be honest. They're nasty pieces of work in other 4 versus 4 games where they're map hacking their hearts out. So, yeah, pretty funny stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like and comment. I'll see you later.